forcing us, I think these people would agree, they're forcing us to possibly have to make some of the decisions. So I think we want everybody to be prepared for that also, just in case.
Just to add to that, I think that the big maybe misunderstanding is just whether the money that they bring in as rentals and stuff can be used in their budget to cover utilities and their bills. And so that's just what needs to be clarified, I guess. If it's included in their budget and can be used as their expenses.
It's not an issue as long as we can show it to the public what the money's used for. We'll start the March 3rd, 2026 Weston County Commissioner regular meeting. Does anybody care to do an invocation before we get into county business? Okay, thanks.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this beautiful day that you have given to us. Father, I just pray that you will be with the commissioners today, with their hearts and with their minds, that you will give them wisdom, give them discernment, that you will be with the constituents that are here, those that are going to be presenting different items that are on the agenda, that you will also give them wisdom, and give them patience and understanding both ways, Father, and that your will is carried out in this county, not just today, but in the weeks to come. And Father, we just give you all the praise and the glory. We thank you, God, in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior and King. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. For you, we have an agenda. I got couple ideas here. I don't have Facebook, so a lot of stuff is going on I didn't know about until just a couple days ago. But I've got a lot of calls in the last couple days, and I was thinking during AP vouchers, it takes us about an hour to go through that stuff. If people would like to, in a semi-orderly fashion, make statements or comments about the fairgrounds, if they would, that'd be a good time to do it. Otherwise, it's really going to throw the rest of the meeting out of whack. Try to fit it in somewhere else. The only issue is I'd also like to add the fairgrounds again to the next agenda to have a time frame designated, so that, because while we're doing these vouchers, we do need to pay a little attention to what's going on there too. So I apologize for that. Secondarily, there is going to be a meeting out at the fairgrounds. They call it a meeting. It's more of a walkthrough. I mean, we did it a month ago at the detention center just to see what issues are, things like that. But I thought maybe we'd do a 10-minute listening session out there too, if anybody would like it.
That's after today's meeting?
Yeah, it's at noon roughly.
Okay.
Depending on how things go with the agenda.
Do you think 10 minutes is going to be enough for that out there?
If we could try 15, whatever. If it's, depends on how many people are there, I guess. The issue that I have with it is going to be minutes. And I don't want to get into a realm where people are doing back and forth and trying to keep minutes out in a large area. And
We can go into the event center.
yeah, or discussion stuff too. So, but we are reconvening there, so everybody knows. I do want to put Bridger, right, if you wouldn't mind penciling Bridger Pipeline under commissioner comments, so I don't forget about it. Anybody else have any additions or changes to the agenda? Yes, ma'am.
So I don't forget, I'd like to have, under commissioner comments, the old 85 bridge. And Mr. Chairman, just to start this off, I would also like, actually, I'll just make a motion. I move to have a budget meeting, the last meeting in April and the first meeting in May, after noon, and make it a budget workshop, so that the board, and only fairgrounds specific, so that we can lay everything out and have all the conversations laid out on the table, to bring solutions, because that's how we're gonna solve this. Emotions are not gonna do it. And so, I'd like to see that put on here. We don't know what's gonna happen in the future here. And we don't know, there's a lot of political stuff going on. So I'd like to get that done so that we can have a long conversation in a couple hours, whatever, and lay everything out so we all can get everything on this side, everything on that side, and get to somewhere where we need to be, because I don't know what's gonna happen necessarily with other things that are happening in this world right now. So
Yes, sir.
Could the motion please be restated?
I apologize for having a conversation with emotion.
Motion.
I move that we have a budget workshop. The last meeting in April, we'll have to get a date for that,
May.
and the first meeting in May.
Okay.
Second.
Got the motion properly seconded to have the fairgrounds, basically, fairgrounds budget meeting, the last meeting in April and the first meeting in May, in the afternoon. Do you want to pick a time, line?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to have it, I mean, we're gonna have to have a regular meeting anyway. So if we could have it,
Put it around 5-ish.
I would like to have it so that everybody can come to it. I mean,
Six.
putting it at 1 o'clock limits the people that would like to have a conversation. So 5 o'clock is okay with me.
Okay.
Are we available to come in here, or should we go somewhere? Come in here. Well, Mr. Chairman, it would be nice if she had her computer.
Yeah, sorry, okay. So we'll shoot for 5 in that motion. Any discussion besides where we?
I would just ask that, again, bring solutions, or what we think might be solutions, just conversations, and positivity.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor of the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, I guess if you folks wanted to, we're gonna start on these. If you guys wanna kinda, Francie, would you mind, just, well, people should probably speak their name so it's on the recording.
Okay.
And then if they wanna say something, or I could, if you guys don't mind. I have more vouchers.
I didn't know they were gonna do
Okay.
this, I was just gonna leave
Back,
this on.
go ahead, I'll keep it.
Cause I have to do something.
And I don't know how many answers or questions I can answer. We'll try it.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'll try.
Yeah.
First of all, I apologize, weird code.
Howdy, sir. There's a chair right there.
The last meeting, what I said probably was saying the quiet stuff out loud. So I apologize that this, I mean, it it got crazy on my phone that it got to a point where we were selling the fairgrounds, and we can't do that. That's just not possible. The Kilpatrick brothers gave the county the land, and that's part of the whole issue. We wouldn't dream of doing it anyway. But I think there's a reality with what's happening with the tax structure that we have, that we just have to face some things. But in no way, shape. The last comment that I made that day was that at budget time we'll make some decisions. And I think that's what we're after doing. It's just making some decisions. But we make decisions every budget. So there's I don't think anybody here has any desire to close it. It may be a reality someday, I don't know, but we'll just have to face that when that comes. But my apologies is I had no idea it would look like that. So next time, I had probably 15 people. I'm sure everybody else had quite a few. Call me, it's not a problem. I don't do social much anymore. Just give me a call, I'd love to talk to you. Thank you for the people that did call me or come in and talk to me. We had some good conversations, didn't we? So, that's what I have, Mr. Chairman.
Are you Donald? Good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'll speak.
I'm sorry.
I do have to read this because I am a writer, not a speaker.
No problem. I don't know you. I'm
I'm
sorry.
Emily Hardinger.
Hi, Emily.
I
Nice. Yes, we visited, yeah.
So I probably will just read right off of this, or else I'll lose my train of thought, so. I grew up in Weston County as part of a ranching family. Rodeo and 4-H along with the county fair has always been a big part of my life. It was the highlight of my summer, to be honest. And now I'm raising another generation with a ranch girl that loves the rodeo and show pigs, most of the time. She isn't really into the school sports and activities, but we do spend an awful lot of time at the Weston County Fairgrounds. She's there riding twice a week this time of year. And we aren't the only ones. It's no secret that people like to complain about the lack of things for kids to do around here. And I realize that sometimes the fairgrounds seems to cater to a certain demographic that my family fits into. But the reality is that it's a commonplace that should be open to absolutely everybody in the county. There's no other facility in this county with the potential to offer what the fairgrounds can offer. It's not just about rodeo and fair kids. So we really need to rally around what the Fair Board is trying to accomplish, which is to provide opportunities for this community. I've only spent a couple days researching this whole issue that's blown up this week, so I obviously could be missing something. But it feels like to me there's just a miscommunication about how a budget and public funds works. The fairgrounds is a county entity that does bring in money, but they don't bring in enough to sustain themselves. But neither do many of the other things that are funded through the general fund. That's kind of the point of the general fund, correct? They're county services, not private businesses, services provided to the taxpayers using their tax money. The constituents of this county who pay their taxes want to see that money being used for good things. And in my opinion, the Weston County Fairgrounds is one of those good things. Not just for my family, but for every family in Weston County. I do understand how a budget works. I have served as the treasurer for the Natural Resource District for the past several years. And while I have not been a part of the Fair Board, I did spend some time this week poring over their current financials for this fiscal year. And I had a lengthy conversation with Mr. Wagner yesterday. That was really insightful. And I've been on the phone with Francie a lot yesterday too. But a budget for the county entity has two sides, right? Money in, money out. At the end of the fiscal year, that number needs to zero out. If there are unexpected expenses that would make the expense side higher than the income side, then they ask for more money, such as the project to fix the rock wall at the fairground. From what I can see, the problem lies in the fact that the anticipated revenue from the rentals at the fairgrounds has not been figured into the budget for the fairgrounds. This makes those funds unusable in the sense of proper handling of public funds. If those anticipated revenue funds have been included in the budget, from what I can see anyway, the fairgrounds is operating within their budget. So I don't know what the issue is or why things were even in question. So before we label the fairgrounds as a drain on the community, I just would urge both the commissioners and the Fair Board to have real honest conversations about how to work together to correctly handle the budget for the fairgrounds. And if you say that you can't afford to keep it open, I counter that by saying we can't afford to not keep it open.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
And if you say that you can't afford to keep it open, I counter that by saying we can't afford to not to keep it open.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I think you're correct in that, I was going through last night, some other counties' budgets for the fairs, and I do see where they budget in that anticipated revenue aspect of it.
Yeah, and that might change every year, but I think that they have good enough records to go back and do an average for the last years to be able to anticipate that.
And I think that's probably what part of our question is.
Yeah, it just needs to be clear where you guys can see it and know what's out there.
Thank you.
Yes, but I put that in our budget that I give that the anticipated revenue.
So then the question of moving some money into being able to cover the extra repairs and extra utilities that weren't accounted for, the money was already there. And it just needs to be, $7,000 for repairs for the year isn't enough to operate anything. That's a really low number. So that it just needs to be reallocated as far as how it's divided out for your line items.
Thanks, Emily. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I asked, I'm Lindsay Gooden. I jumped on the board 6 months ago, I think, for the fairgrounds. And I honestly think a lot of our budget problems can be solved by having a workshop. So I was very happy to hear you suggest that, just because coming in from the outside, like I did work in this community, I don't know the weird, I know bits and pieces of the weird things that have happened with the fair and the fairgrounds. And I just think there's a massive disconnect of where the money's coming from, where it's going, how it's been used in the past. And I think just sitting down and making a plan and discussing it all together will solve a lot of problems. And I think the idea of closing the fairgrounds is cannot end, but we talked about before we take those steps to do that, which I feel like you've gone back on. So yeah, I think that will solve a lot of issues.
Ma'am?
Yes,
Appreciate it.
thank you. I do too. I just think it's got to be one of those where we get to a hiccup and we solve that, get to a point where we think we solved that hiccup. And instead of just jumping over the hiccup and saying, this isn't not working here, this isn't working here, and
What exactly isn't working?
Right.
Look at all of it and see what it is.
So I think taking that extra 4, 5, whatever it takes, hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive operation. The community cares about it, it matters, it's worth the time.
It is. A lot of us grew up, we have our DNA all over that place. That sounds bad. No.
You probably do though, realistically. You're in the soil.
We're in the soil. There you go.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
One quick thing I wanted to say to you after your nice letter, thank you. Repairs are confusing, I think, even to Francie. Repairs are really confusing because they're actually counting buildings, so we're responsible for repairs. So it's not, the repairs that are done aren't necessarily in their budget. So if there's some large repairs, it will be out of our funds instead of the fairground funds. So that those kind of things get really confusing to everybody. And to be fair to Francie, things are in a lot better shape than they were a couple years ago when I came in here. So I think the new board has headed things in the right direction. They've done a really good job, really trying hard to get things straight and do it right. And we appreciate that a lot. But I think when it comes to us, we're gonna be facing a lot of problems with having no money to give. So it's not just gonna be the fair board that we're gonna have to be looking at. It's everything. It's everything. And everybody's gonna be in here mad at us probably because of that. So we love the fairgrounds too, and we love the library, and we love public health, and we love all those things, and we want to have all those things in our community. But they're forcing us, I think these people would agree, they're forcing us to possibly have to make some of the decisions. So I think we want everybody to be prepared for that also, just in case.
Just to add to that, I think that the big maybe misunderstanding is just whether the money that they bring in as rentals and stuff can be used in their budget to cover utilities and their bills. And so that's just what needs to be clarified, I guess. If it's included in their budget and can be used as their expenses.
It's not an issue as long as we can show it to the public what the money's used for.
And as long as it's in the budget to begin with.
Yeah, and that's kind of been some of the sticky part of it is you got this money sitting there and we just need to make sure that it's conveyed to everybody. If $10,000 is spent, the world knows what the $10,000 was spent on.
Right. But as long as it's listed as anticipated revenue in the budget at the beginning of the year, it shouldn't be an issue,
Yes,
right?
I believe that's correct. After looking at some of those how some of the other frameworks are operated.
Right?
That's what I was just gonna say. If you have the time and bless you for making the time now, but our auditor's coming. And once again, I apologize for my throat. And the way that I read the audit, we're 21% down in revenue. That's with the passing of a 50% tax. So, interesting place for us all to be. But on your other, sometimes that's what the issue is. We don't know what the income is, and you've told us that, but we don't see them come in. We have what you'll see it here on our. You guys have agendas. So on the 1025, those are collections. So we've asked for collections from the fairgrounds, so that we know what's coming in when it goes out. That's part of what our conversation will be in the budget too. So I'm done with mine.
So, and I think that's part of it too. It's good to have public input because in times of need, I think it's important.
Thank you.
The same people that bark at me for spending money are often the same people that bark at me when I'm not spending money on their favorite thing in the county. So that's where I think stuff like this is important. Like we had an EMS meeting months ago, and it was interesting to watch that process because at one hand you're looking at taxing the community more to try to fund services for the county, but on the other hand you also have there's two sides to it, the health side of it and then the tax side of it that people don't like. So to gain an understanding for, I guess, what the general population wants, we get 12 mills, which I assume most of you folks are aware of. Say you are taxed on 70 mills of your whatever your ownings are where you are. 12 of those come back to the county, and then we have to figure out how to disseminate those 12 mills between us, general county government, the fair, the library, Mallow. What am I missing?
Not even really Mallow.
Oh, they kind of self-run. We pay for the employee, the manager out there. but they tend to take care of themselves. But if you live in a community, I guess, where the public says that we cut here and pay more here, I think that's what we as a board need to know. What services does the community want and what don't they want, I guess. And sometimes you don't know that sitting in here either until, you know, talks start about cutting here and then it hits the fan.
You're never
Sometimes.
gonna make everybody.
No.
I got a question. I'm gonna go back to what Vera says about the buildings.
Mhm.
There's a fine line that the repairs and maintenance that we pay for and what you guys pay for.
So
Because the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we need to sit down and say, okay, we're in charge of the repairs and maintenance here. You guys are in charge of repairs and maintenance here. We need to have that in writing so we know exactly what we need to bring up here or we pay.
So I've tried to make this fairly clear in the past, and maybe I've done a horrible job. If it's an oil change in a car,
Well,
we
yeah,
expect you to do that.
Yeah.
If it's a tire that needs purchased, then we do that. I mean, or an engine overhaul or whatever, like,
batteries.
yeah, like the event center that needs, or not the event center, the indoor arena, like garage doors. That becomes a county issue because those are county buildings,
I
yeah.
get that.
Now, a light bulb needs swapped out and,
It's ours.
yeah, I mean,
But see, we.
I suppose, yeah, and you're right, you could probably break that down to, well, if that's your light bulb too, because it's plugged into your building.
Yeah,
So,
because see, you know, like with the toilet, I'll give you an example. The toilets,
yeah,
those electric toilets in the event center, they go out. Who's in, I mean, it's part of the building, but it's
electric toilet, are they those auto flush?
yeah,
Oh,
auto
okay.
flush ones.
Confused.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that.
I'm going to see that at our tour. I will be there to see the
Well, they're electric because they're battery operated.
Well, and if
That
that's,
scares me.
I think that's easy to do. I mean, in a short time frame, we can break that down pretty easy, I think. I mean, in the past, though, I've tried to make,
Well, I know you have, and I appreciate
and I'm
it.
sorry if I haven't done a good
But I
job.
mean, they're part of the building, but they're.
Yeah. I think it was more along the lines of like everyday,
usage.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, is there a line between like, we need a part for the toilet or we need a whole toilet?
yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
that's-
Yeah,
The part for the toilet seems like it's an us and a whole toilet maybe seems like it's you.
That's always been the picture, like when we bring up, that's what we talked about. You buy the flusher, you buy the toilet.
But in all fairness, I mean, public health, if the plunger goes out or the whatever mechanism goes out inside the tank of the toilet, we pay for it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're still paying for it through your
Well,
budget,
right,
but we
yeah.
need to figure out if that's something more defined that would help you guys operate. I don't see that being a major issue.
It seems to become a sticky point
Yeah,
that causes arguments.
yeah.
This is
I think it would be worth.
Yes, ma'am.
shortly after I came into office, around that time, someone had donated materials and redid a roof without really telling us. And so that money that could have possibly been used for you guys to do something else, if we would have bought the roof, then maybe if you could have got those people to just donate something else or money towards it, we would have done the roof and then you would have had the money. And that was a loss for you and a possible loss for us because then there's liability involved and all that. When I heard it, I just caught my breath.
But they specified.
But the
what
roof.
it's supposed
They
to be.
specified it, but that's something that we maybe need to tell people, that's a no-go. We appreciate you, we want your money, but that's not how you can help us. And we just need to get those things out there and all of us need to understand that better. Maybe we need to have almost, like if you're a landlord, sometimes you'll tell your tenant anything below $75 is your responsibility.
Those toilet mechanisms are like $200.
So, here, Francie, this may be an issue everywhere. Toilet seat, I just happened to pop it right here in front of myself. The
I'm
airport,
not complaining, but
No, I
I'm
get
just
it.
pointing things out.
But-
I mean,
the airport pulled out of their general airport repair and maintenance.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donut. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
So I guess that's something we need to, yeah. It's, I know, it's odds and ends like that.
But those are figured into their budget.
Right.
Yeah, and the airport started with 3,500 in theirs, so I don't, the fairground maintenance, yep, repair maintenance, 7,000, so.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we bought overhead doors for the airport.
Yeah,
That came out of general.
yeah.
I'm just mean today, aren't I?
So I guess we can hammer that out. And maybe that's something we need to have that conversation with all the buildings.
Mr. Chairman, I think part of the tour is to look and see where are we at on some of this. What is the capital requirement to do some of this, and where does it come from?
Yeah.
I think the tour is a great idea. Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
there's been scuttlebutt that the fairgrounds would like to be their own district, and you're going to have to go to the state legislature for that. That's a legislative thing because they're not under special districts. And then it's been said that we don't give them a mill. We give them a portion of the county's mill. So the county gets 12 mills. And so years ago we changed it to a block grant, but it's still portioned out of the 12 mills. So is a library. So there's a portion that comes out of our 12 mills. And when I say our, you know what I mean, the general fund of the county. And so they still get a portion of it. The library still gets a portion of that mill. What happened before is that the mill was divided out and put on the top of our budget sheet. And so what happened is when you do it that way, when you hit the budget that they put in as that budget, they continue to get funding, and so they get overfunded. And what happens, and the reason we changed is because then the public wasn't seeing how that money was spent. And so we put it back into a block grant, and with the idea that becomes that. So I did my taxes for my house last night. The 12 mills, my taxes are a lot higher than this, but the 12 mills that goes to the county, I pay $189. If you figure out what the mill is compared to what our mill levy is, it's 0.73. I paid $11.54 for the fairgrounds for the entire year. So that's how that works. Part of the problem that happened one year is when it was up on the top, the revenues didn't get put into there. And so what happened, the mill had to fill that revenue spot. And the fairgrounds got a lot of money. And when they came and we said, go buy all the kitchen equipment you can buy in the new building. There's no way we piece it back out to give to every taxpayer. Go buy the the kitchen equipment. And that's how we solved that. Because they were gonna go through a lot of fundraisers and interesting things like that, trying to get his kitchen expense. Kitchen equipment is expensive. And so, wonderful way. It was a mistake that happened, but it turned out for the better for the fairgrounds. So that's where those adjustments are. So we went back to a block grant so that the public could see what was going on. But if I have no problem with somebody going to the legislature and asking the fairgrounds to be a part of the special districts. There's a whole thing that's one of those careful what you wish for things, because you just watched us go through a whole interesting process of 5 special districts and the Department of Audit.
The thing with moving to a special district, I think that would be the detriment to the fairgrounds is right now your block grant is, they've gotten the same amount for the last 4 years, which may change with all of the changing taxes and everything. If you go to a special district, that's gonna fluctuate every year, and you're not gonna know then as far as what you're gonna have for the year to spend. And it costs more money to be in a special district and a lot more work. Paperwork, bookwork, that type of stuff to do.
And, Mr. Chairman, and if you budget a certain, and just like you said, and so that the 50% comes through, you just wipe that out.
Right. You budget at the beginning of the year thinking you're going to get this much from your mill levy, but that might not be actually what you get by the end of the year.
And so that's where our weird thing is going to happen with this year, and that's why I'm saying we need to sit down, because if the election is in August, we have to approve a budget by June 30th. And so what happens if that gets sliced in half because that mill levy, whatever it is, the ballot initiative, right? If that passes, yikes. And so I think that's why I really asked for it, is that those conversations happen because one thing happens before the other thing happens. And the consequences that could entail, I don't know. So I think it's imperative.
And I think the only opportunity for a special district would be to go under a rec district, and I don't know how that works when you have Mallow already as a rec district. Can you create another?
Mr. Chairman, even though they're under the way I understand it, the reason that Mallow's under a recreation, not really district, but under a recreation board is so that they are allowed to bring the money in and then spend it out. There's some legal thing that our auditor long ago said this is what you have to call that in order then to be legally legal. So Newcastle has a rec board. I think Upton, does Upton have a rec board? Does anybody know? I don't either. So I think because the swimming pools run under the rec board, I believe, in Newcastle. Right? It was?
Yeah.
That's how they.
I don't know how many of those rec boards you can have. I don't know. And that, if that's possible, that's something that you have to look up. But you might fall under the same parameter. Just like joint powers boards do. Even though they're not listed under the special district, they fall under that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go next.
Mr. Shane.
So I don't think it makes any sense to close the fairgrounds. And I'm Shane Sweet. We have all those nice buildings, and if we close the fairgrounds, you know what happens when buildings don't get used every day and maintenance on them. It just doesn't make any sense to close the fairgrounds. We have to keep it open because we have all those good buildings. I'll be fast. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have a fair board. We have a commissioner's board. We need to they need to figure, well, what we need to do is hire a manager and figure out how to do a budget. If he needs help, him, her, whoever needs help with the budget, hire somebody to show them how to do the budget, whether it's QuickBooks or whatever. But that's where we need to start, is hiring a manager and have the fair board leave him alone. Let him do his job. Don't nitpick at him if he's doing his job. Just leave him alone and let him do the budget. Or if he's not comfortable, then you guys need to figure out who needs to do the budget, whether it's an accountant or whatever. I mean, that's what needs to happen. We need to hire a manager. And that's somebody that's competent.
Shane, and a little aspect of what you're talking about, I tend to agree with that, and I've wondered, we've had this conversation a time or two. It seemed to run good when there was a manager that lived out there too.
Exactly.
And we provided housing for that manager.
They provided their own house.
Oh, that's right,
Yes.
they did, yes. That is right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. No,
You're right.
Yeah.
He's right.
But I think the conversation that I just confused it with was maybe we need to provide the trailer house or the double wide or whatever to get that manager to potentially do that. And that's another thought that I think is worth looking into the future. Yes, ma'am.
Is it essential that the manager would live at the fairgrounds?
No, I don't.
Or could they be a person who came and went and worked on maintenance and designated time and just billed for it as needed?
I think it isn't. I mean, it just seemed to, the reason it probably worked so well is because no matter, and this was probably unfair to the individual that lived out there because they were always there. So they always knew what was going on, and if somebody showed up on a Saturday, they were around, and so that was the downside, I guess. So you'd have to have a special person, again, who wanted to tackle that role. They would know that it's kind of like the management up at Mallow. During the summer, you're going to be swamped 7 days a week, but in the wintertime, you might have more of an opportunity to have days off where you could try to balance that. But
Well, it sounds like I have a dog in the fight, and maybe I do, but my cousin Jace Martin has served as the events manager voluntarily for the youth, a lot of the youth events, and going in ahead of time and shoring up broken places around the arena or working on the road or doing something back and forth in and out of there. And he, someone like that, it seems to me, if there's a kind of a handyman who's able to do those things, and here's pipe frozen up down in the barn and the water's gushing out and it's flooding in the arena, and he gets it taken care of, and finds some tape and puts it on and puts it in. So I just wonder if someone like that who functioned on a part-time level would be an answer for us, and just pay a standard wage, whatever. That's just a suggestion.
thank you. And I think there's a lot of things we need to, down the road, look at. Ideally to me, it'd be neat to see somebody that was highly invested in the fair really take interest in it again if that was an opportunity. And yes, ma'am.
Just we're talking about this old marriage person. How long was that person there?
Which one?
I don't know, the live-in.
Last one that lived there, he was there quite a while.
Okay. Daniel.
Daniel.
No, Kelly was there.
Kelly
was
there
below.
last.
Was Dean the last one?
Yeah.
And how long do you think Dean was there?
I was not around.
Very long.
Like a year or two.
Okay, well, so I'm just asking because my thought in like year or two, having that person that lives there and like is there all the time to know what's going on, like that just seems unrealistic as like a long-term goal, because I can't imagine that person being there for more than 2 next 3 years.
And so I just want to let people know that there's money involved for all of us. And what we really owe you, the people, whether we're elected officials, whether we own a media company that accepts them, let's face it, I mean, advertising dollars, when it used to be advertising dollars that drove local media, those people, I mean, I've had a lot of advertisers pull their money from the newsletter journal because and I knew they were gonna, because editorials I wrote. I mean, God, when I went after the fair board, I lost advertising right and left over that. I lost advertising over the hospital board thing a few years ago. Every time we write an editorial challenging something in Weston County, we stand the chance to lose dollars. And so now taking in donations really doesn't make it any different.
Just living that type of lifestyle, I guess.
Doug Livingston was there quite a while.
Yeah.
Daniel was there.
How long do you think Daniel was there? 5-6 years?
Yeah.
Most of my childhood.
Yeah.
What is several
He's the only one I remember.
What do we consider a long time? What?
Might have been.
Well, I think part of the benefit to it is, you know, your electricity's paid for, your water's paid for. I mean, there's ancillary benefits to living out there that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with
Yeah,
that, and
I
I
mean-
think somebody would do it, but I think that's going to be a transient position
It could be.
someone who's young and doesn't have a family and.
But we've also,
you know, whatever.
I mean, mallow in much is the very same animal. I mean, in the dead of winter, what a incredibly lonely place to be, especially in the world of no internet up there back when, you know, I mean, unless you were somebody willing to live that lifestyle, it took a special person. But we found those people that were willing to do it. I mean, I don't know. You might be right. It may be impossible, or it might be hard.
I'm not saying it's not impossible. I think it's a thought to look at. Do we go down that road expecting that every 2 years we're going to have to find a new manager, or do we form a different system that's more long time sustainable? Maybe that is long term sustainable. Every 2 years we do this. It's just a thought.
Right now, we have a person that's very adamant out there that cares about the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
He gets everything done, and he's only a part-time person. I mean, he gets more done than a full person did in the past.
That's awesome.
That, and I think, I mean, he's only part-time. He gets 26 hours a week. And he does a lot more than what previous employees have done in a year.
I also think with the addition of like the event center and like managing that and managing the grounds, like separate things. And then like, are we then talking about someone to do, one person to do both those things, or do
One person for everything.
because those are kind of different, like, I don't think we can't do Sammy's job, we can't do David's job.
Exactly. But we have an office person that does everything out there except payroll and the books, which I do. And I don't get paid for it.
Just a sec, let me go to Walter.
Just from my own observations and my own feelings, not for me because it would hurt too much, but the idea of living out there, I can see an attraction to that for a certain type of person. And it may be hard to find a person that would be able to stay out there and for some time. But on the same thing, as Emily just pointed out, look at the people that are here right now that have some interest and input into what's going on at the fairgrounds, and it's not even an agenda item right now. It's just people wanted to have a say, and so they're doing it at this time. This speaks to me a lot about how important that fairgrounds is to people, and I don't think it would be impossible to find somebody that would be willing to live out there and live that lifestyle. Because I know a lot of the people that are here right now and how passionate they are about the fair and about the fairgrounds.
I'm Patty Bartlett, and what I was going to ask is when you guys meet with the fair board, can the fair board let these people know how many volunteers you have that just show up and don't get paid, or is that something I heard and it's not true? That you don't have a lot of volunteers?
You're looking at me, I'm not on the curve.
Oh.
Billy would be a good guy to answer that, or
Okay.
Francie.
For volunteer wise, most, like all your big events that bring their own volunteers into it, just day-to-day general work around, all the fair board members jump in and volunteer on stuff. There's a good handful of volunteers who show up and just help clean the building, help the event center, do just kind of general pickup stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that's 4-H clubs and we're starting to go down that road again, where 4-H is coming out and going to be doing more volunteer work, painting and stuff like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. But to know that you've got volunteers is an important thing. And I think if it got out that, we need this help, show up to work to help save some cost.
And,
I'd just like to speak to that briefly. Not only do you have volunteer labor, but you got a lot of things out there at the fairgrounds that people bought into and paid for gratis for the county. Like the racetrack, like buck and shoots, the crow's nest, the pens behind there, the work the stock, the return alley, I think the stuff in the kitchen in the community building, is that right? That
Yep.
Friends of Fair paid for that. The sand was donated. So you got a hell of a lot of buy-in there. And the fair board, I saw a lot of them out there doing things last year. Watched them.
Yeah, I think it's when you sign up for the fair board, I think you're signing up for a lot more than you realize a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong, I certainly appreciate everything. Yes, ma'am.
Marilyn Smoker. We used to have a full-time manager and a part-time assistant that took care of the books and so forth. Things ran very well, whether they were living on the fairgrounds or not. Tom Streeter was the last one that was a good manager that did not live on the fairgrounds, and they had a line item budget. They took care of things themselves, and with the fair board overseeing them, and it worked out very well. And you've got a lot of resources to fall back on with Daniel Tisdale and Diane Johnson that work together, and Dean and Sue Catley, and Tom Streeter and Jeanette Knight. They all did an excellent job, and things went very well as long as they were out there. And the line item budget worked very well, being managed the way that it was. And I believe I have copies of that. You've got resources to fall back on.
That's what I was just gonna ask. If you have a copy of that, Linda.
I'll see if I can find it. I may have given it to Susan Bridge, but I'll see if she still has it.
Because at one time we used to, include them in our budget, and it was nice to go back.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to go back. And that's another conversation. It's nice to put all of our stuff up on the website. It costs a little more money, but we've only got one page up there now, and there's a broadband interest and all that, but it'd be nice so everybody could go look instead of coming to try to find it here.
And I know that there are lots of volunteers out there at the fairgrounds because I've been at that fair for 30 years. The majority of those years, I was there from 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night every day. I know what goes on out there.
Thank you.
I can vouch for that, and she's been one that has been willing to just go and do things that see something that needed to be done during the fair, before, between, and after. And she steps up and does it, and her exhibits fill up several of the rooms. She keeps our fair going. I appreciate you.
So to speak on the manager topic, I guess, since I've been there, we haven't had a per se manager. We've never, crossed that out, said we don't ever want that to happen again. We've always kind of looked into, if we can find the right person to do the right task. When I was there, we had a full-time employee. When we, made the financial switches from you guys to us, and there was some things we kind of just didn't really calculate for, like the unemployment and all the benefits and everything. And that just ate our salary line to pieces. So that's when that road came to an end. We said, for this much money, we can get part-timers, and some of these things, it takes, one guy to take a half a day to do it. Two guys takes 10 minutes to get that task done. The part-time employee thing has always kind of been meaning to be an avenue we explored. Never meant to be a full-time, permanent solution. Right now, for what monies are and everything, I think it's working well with financial things kept in mind. But in talk, in the past of how do we get a full-time manager out there, a lot of people who've been around heavily in the fairgrounds before said, the on-site living is a huge deal, a big benefit. So that's kind of, I guess we're the boards. We never said no manager ever again. We'd love to have that. If we could ever find the correct person and the finances and kind of get all that stuff figured out. It'd be a great avenue to explore.
Well, I think those are the important conversations that need to happen, because if the like I kind of stated before, the general consensus of the community, and granted, you gotta try to hear everybody's voice, but more funding needs to go to the fairgrounds. This board needs to know that. And if, at the same token, if people are upset about the funding, we also need to hear that. I mean, it needs to, those are things that need to be, Marty needs to, things that need to hopefully come in front of the board in the future. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Thomas Voss, and I'm here to kind of talk a little bit about the fairgrounds, but I think we need to look at another proposal, and that is, here a little while ago, we all got together, Upton and Newcastle, and the county commissioners got together, and we formed a dispatch. And we got a good system going there, and it's going really well. I'm thinking about the fairgrounds and getting some direction and a plan. And we include members of the city council, this council, and Upland City Council, and or the Friends of the Fair Board and the people that are already there. And let's get a group in this community that is our Weston County, and we can set direction, and we can get leadership, and we can put things and help this fair board do what they need to do. And yeah, we all need money. Hell, Upton needs money, I need money, we all need money. But let's get a direction. Let's sit down and plan and run that fairgrounds like a business. I've been in the hospitality business for 35 years, and I can tell you that if you get the word out, they will come. And if we can get a program for the horse barn and for the event center, and for instance, as an example, the Arts Council, I'm treasurer of the Weston County Arts Council. And we have the ability to have 501c3, so we can get grants. And I don't know what kind of grants that you have tried for the fairgrounds or what, but we can get grants to do programs in the event center. And if we are part of a plan and part of a program, I would use my organization to help you get grants and put it towards the fair at grounds. And I think that, please think about that. Think about our cities and county getting together and having a real business plan for the fair board.
This place is full of love. You can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
Please think about that. Think about our cities and county getting together and having a real business plan for the Fair Board. And then hand it to them and say, here's what you do. Another thing I'd like to suggest, when I was little, there was a person that lived out there and he had a house out there and he ran the place, and I don't remember their names now, but there was a whole lot more organization going on, it seemed to me. But I was little then, so I don't know. But I want you to consider that if you get somebody that can direct it and have a lifetime interest in what happens out there, I think we have a better chance of having a real successful event center and a successful fair in general. Thank you.
Ross, thank you.
Thank you.
You're always thinking outside the box. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You bet, Mr. Brazel.
Dan, I guess I just want to touch back on the volunteer thing. You know, that, I mean, we've been back in Weston County now for a little over 20 years and involved in the fairgrounds. I mean, I volunteered on the Junior Livestock Committee first and then got on the fair board and then back on the Junior Livestock Committee, but then volunteered with high school rodeo. And so how many hundreds of hours I've spent out there doing stuff for free, I don't know. But on the point of the board, which other board do you guys have in the county where your board members that you appoint that volunteered to do it have to be involved in the day-to-day operations, have to be involved in the maintenance and the supervision and the grounds upkeep of the property? Garrett, you're on the airport board?
I wouldn't say on a day-to-day basis.
But I mean, are you out there mowing the lawn, making sure shit's done?
I'm not mowing the lawn.
Yeah. I mean,
we've got a manager on.
Yeah, and I mean, but you've got the funding. I mean, and granted, it's joint powers board. I know it's a little different setup, but you know, and Mallow, everybody that I've talked to, you know, they're like, well, tries to compare the fairgrounds to Mallow. Mallow's a whole different cat. They've got the hotel, they've got the big grounds, they've got the campground and everything up there, but they have no direct competition with public entities or with private entities at Mallow. I mean, there's what, 4 rooms at the or at Four Corners there, and that's the only thing that, I mean, so they are able to generate a lot more money than that, you know, and you know, they don't take any mill levy money at all from the county. They get some of the 1% tax to help pay for the manager and that up there, but so they're able to generate a lot more funding than what the fairgrounds is. You know, but there's thousands and thousands of hours of volunteer time that I guess the fair board doesn't get credit for going for their budget. And honestly, I don't know any other fairgrounds in the state that's like that has that much volunteer time. And so, you know, I went back and I've looked at the numbers since like 2016. You know, there's been fluctuations in what everybody got, you know. We never, and I guess to clear up one thing, fairgrounds never had its own mill levy. I mean, that's stuff that I've heard everybody say, well, when did they lose their mill? They never lost their mill. They never had a mill. It was part of the 12 mills of the county. The budget used to be broke out of, you know, general county, then fair board and library. You know, so it was just a percentage of a mill in the 12 mills. I guess, so I think that's where part of that confusion comes from, but looking at what our current mills have been over the last 5 to 7 years versus what they were, you know, even in 2010, 2011, 2016, you guys have continuously just chipped away at that as far as the percentage. And so, I mean, they used to be like 9/10 per mil at one point in time, and now they're less than 50.
0.73.
Is it 0.73? So, I guess that is just going off of what was allocated versus what was the estimated assessment, I guess, based on your budget. But it's, I mean, it's still a drastic hit, and then you look at other parts of the county where, you know, they've taken cuts, but yet then they get replaced or gets replenished, and the fairgrounds honestly hasn't. And when we went to the block grant, I was on the fair board. We had a pretty good nest egg at the fairgrounds, and we were forced to spend it to keep it afloat and keep it going. And so now there's no nest egg. You know, they don't get to keep their revenue to go back towards their expenses. So I mean, and honestly, it's not designed to make money. It's a county entity, it's a government entity. We're not designed to make money. You know, you hope you can generate enough to keep the lights, to pay your light bill, but it's never going to happen. I mean, we're not going to be profitable. And so, because once you do, then the private industry starts getting irritated and gets pissed and starts calling and saying that you're competing with them for their stuff.
Mr. Bob, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to that. You know, just like in the city, I tell everybody water's free. What you're paying for is the maintenance and the upkeep of the lines and the sewer and the buildings. And then we have the same problem out at the fairgrounds. We have an entity there that requires expense. Obviously, you're going to go out there at noon today and take a look at what it needs. And I appreciate that you're going there and taking your time to see, you know, get down to the basic things. But we need to treat it like a business. We need to act and move together to make this thing you know, like I say, you build it, they will come. And I think we need to really take a look have a joint board to do that and help these people get where we want to go with it. You know, obviously the past didn't work. So let's look at the future and let's do something that will.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Some of you missed, we moved today to have a budget meeting in the evening. The last commissioner meeting in April and the first one in May. And the idea is that we all sit down and we put all this stuff out on the table. Everything that like you spoke about, and then we have those conversations of how to get where we need to be and to bring solutions or ideas, because that's how this probably should work. And so those ideas that you have, we would like to have, and we're going to have it at 5 o'clock so that people can be here and not have to do this of taking time out of their day to come to our meeting. So we're going to have it in the evening, and if it's 5 hours, it's 5 hours. But the idea is to have that conversation, and so we're dedicating 2 of our budget meetings because we don't know what this world is going to bring.
If you can tell them what's going to happen in November, that'd be great.
Thank you. Exactly. And so here we are going to set up a budget and then maybe get the rug pulled out from underneath us.
Right.
So we just have to, we're going to have those conversations, and I think we can have good ones. Thank you,
In
Mr.
Hale's
Chairman.
conversation, he talked about Mallow and the airport, and I heard twice, no, those boards don't have to do anything because they have a manager that does it. That's my point.
I was listening to Hale and Tom, and I think you're both right. And I think both of you are a pretty large voice of what we have here in Weston County. And Tom's statement on saying, hey, we need to focus in on this business-minded and also the statement that Hale made in saying it is a service provided by the county for the use of the county. Both statements are correct, in my opinion.
And I can agree with Tom. I mean, we have to run like this.
Right.
You can't think of it as it's got to pay for itself because it never will.
So someone or some group of individuals, if you're both right, have to decipher where the perfect balance is between both of those statements. If we get too business operated, then the people that are in support of Hale's side of the service provided by the county are going to flare up and say, why are we running this like a strict business entity, or vice versa, if it comes back to leaning on, we don't need to run this like a business because this is going to be provided by the county. Is that a mindset that we've allowed to overcome us as a county for that property? So thought?
I guess in response to your comments and Tom's both, I mean, it's not that we shouldn't run it like a business because we should. But we can't just have the mindset of it's just got to pay for itself and it's got to make money, because it can't. And so, I mean, it's not full every day. And honestly, there's enough work that needs to be done out there that it's going to take a large influx of cash to get it to the point where we can host things on larger scale and more often.
I'd like to thank everybody that's here. I think it speaks for itself. I'd like to thank all of you because I know you don't have an easy job, but at least you can see the compassion or something that all of us are standing behind. I'm going to go ahead and step out so somebody else can come in and hear what's going on. I appreciate your time and the idea that you will listen and come up with a solution.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
I think we've had some conversations in the past with Francie in those regards of what you guys were talking about too. I mean, it's similar to a city golf course. You know, everybody in the city pays for it, but not everybody golfs. And so there's an understanding you might have also, even though you're paying for it with your taxes, or your water bills or whatever, you also probably have to pay to go out there and golf. So, and finding that fine line of what's too much and what's too little is something that we need to investigate into and help ensure that helps keep the thing afloat. Okay, we're running now into public comment. So, because I've got
nowhere near done. I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I'm nowhere near done.
Oh, okay. So
I'm trying to listen.
We could do another 10 minutes roughly.
I need 10 minutes.
Hopefully, if anybody else has something. Because we have 10 minutes until.
Good, Jerry. All right. You're louder than I am.
Anything real major, we need to probably jump on something else. Go ahead.
So I'm here with my partner Shane Anthony. We do First Steps Productions, and in the last 2 years we've done half a dozen events out there at the fairgrounds. And for what we're doing, it is literally the only place in town that can accommodate to do our events that are free to the public, free for all ages, to enrich and involve our community, to engage with our community. We do a couple times a year, we'll do a dance out there at the event center. At the end of the summer this year, we're planning a very large music festival in September, where we're getting out of town money coming in. We're getting people coming, vendors, we're getting people coming to perform, we're getting people. And it's things that our town needs to not just survive, but to thrive. It gets us on the map so that people are coming. This will be the third singer-songwriter competition that we're doing at the end of the summer. And each year it's grown and grown and grown. And we outgrew other venues. It first started in the conference room over at the lodge, and then last year we did it in the event center at the fairgrounds, and this year we're doing it in the Four Seasons Arena. So, and the reason we're growing the way we are is because we're getting bigger audiences, more participants, longer events, and it's such an asset to have available.
Well, and they're real money opportunities for the fairgrounds.
Yes,
you know,
there's
we're
ways
not
to
looking at
generate.
it just as a come in for free type of deal. I mean, there's opportunities for the fairgrounds to generate an income off of what we do. And we got some other ideas for that too, about splitting income and kind of helping out the fairgrounds a little bit if we need to go a little further.
I think that'd be something to handle more at the budget.
And we can do that, yeah, we can do that later, but, I mean, there's a lot of ideas on the table that doing the things that we do, like that singer-songwriter, I got people coming in from Idaho and Minnesota, Denver, like these aren't just stimulating the fairgrounds, this is the whole town, you know?
Yeah.
So anybody that's got a restaurant or a motel or anything, a gas station, I mean, this is the stuff that exercises that.
And one thing about that, when people travel for things like that, they're spending money where they go. It doesn't matter if they're doing it on the cheap or not, they're still going into restaurants, they're still needing a place to stay. Even if it's something as simple as, you know, we're hooking onto the fifth wheel and we'll just camp right there at the fairgrounds, which people do that all the time.
And they'll pay for that.
And they'll pay for that.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing is in a town where we have not a lot of options for things to do, the fairground provides places for things to do. Every one of us has walked around town hearing people, oh, Newcastle, there ain't nothing to do in Newcastle, there ain't nothing to do in Newcastle. That's a lot of where me and Shane got the idea to start doing these things.
We're working pretty hard to bring things for people to do. And it's like, when stuff like this happens, it's like we're being pushed back. And it's just hard, you know, we want to help the community and give them different things to do. And
well, in an example like this year, with the size that we're forecasting it to be and what we've got planned, if we didn't have the Four Seasons Arena available for us on the fairgrounds, we would have to
we would have to look at moving it out of town.